And welcome to Ask the Experts here on Newstalk 1290 CJBK on this Saturday afternoon, and joined every other Saturday at this time by our real estate expert from Royal LePage Tri-Land Realty. That would be Joan Ball, who joins us on the program right now. Good day to you, Joan. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Ryan, and you, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Did you do anything on New Year's Eve?
We didn't.
Okay.
We were with friends the night before, and we just sort of laid low and watched some movies and took it easy.
Nice. Yes, it seemed to be a common theme this year. I didn't hear of too many people that actually went out and celebrated outside of their own home, maybe with a couple of friends, but that was about it. Did you make it up till midnight?
We did.
Yes, okay.
Yes, we at least did that.
Okay, because again, a lot of people I talked to, even my friends, said, you know what, I didn't even bother. But hey, that comes with age sometimes, and that's why you, Joan, look and are so youthful and can do that type of thing. So, Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290, CJBK. So, Joan, the start of the year, last year was we started way up in terms of home prices. It was no secret, and you documented and kept us up to speed throughout the year. Prices started to come down. Just where are we at now, early in 2023? Your overview.
Last year, a year ago at this time, we were in unprecedented times and trends in the market. It was a frenzy that I frankly, in 30 years of being in real estate, have not seen. We did have a correction, and as the Bank of Canada wanted to implement their sort of slow down and try and hedge off inflation, did start raising interest rates in February. So we started to see a bit of a shift begin in March, and then continued straight in through the summer. And however, I won't say that it stalled the market. It just slowed the response to the market. But we were in unprecedented times. When you look at the number of listings that were on the market a year ago, and just even concentrate in the London area, it was just so tight a market. There was hardly any listings on the market. So then this year, when we have listings on the market and we have buyers that can respond to them, we really do still see now a balanced market. So it's not a buyer's market, it's a balanced market, and it still is. Months of inventory, so it would take about 2 months on average for any one property to sell. The average price still is very healthy, but has not, we're certainly not seeing the peak, that frenzied peak of way over list price. We're seeing slightly above the odd multiple offer. I've had a number of scenarios where I still am in multiple offer scenarios, but it's not a guarantee. You really do have to sharpen your pencil when you're listing a property and make sure you get all your ducks lined up and the house presents well and it's an accurate list price. The people who are overshooting the market right now are staying on the market and getting a sense of sort of that stale bread sense. They really have to be accurate with their list price.
Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290. CJBK from Royal LePage Tri-Land Realty. You can reach Joan at 519-672-9880, joanball.com, the website address. And I was wondering about that, Joan, if there are, whether you've dealt with clients that are in this sort of mind frame or have heard maybe some stories of people who are still set in their ways from a year ago thinking, well, my neighbor's home got such and such a figure, I'm going to shoot for that as well, whereas the market has changed significantly, like you've pointed out. Is there that mindset still out there that people think, I want to strive for what we were getting a year ago in home values?
Well, and there's no doubt about it. Nobody wants to leave money on the table. But I do find that those properties that are getting the best response are actually, properties where the sellers are listening to their agents and their representative and asking for proof. Why would we want to list something in a specific range or at a specific price? And wanting some backup to that, and that's absolutely justifiable. But those who are, armchair quarterbacking the real estate market are ending up learning in the end, in many cases, that, okay, this is just not going to work. That's not the reaction to the market that's going to get them the highest and best return. So sometimes people are learning the hard way, and sometimes people are learning and then just having to regroup and come back out again, and sometimes that's having a better response.
You speak of still some examples of homes going above asking price, Joan, not quite like they were in the past maybe, but are there homes now that you're seeing that are going for under the asking price?
Oh, the majority of them
really?
Are, actually. So we've got a complete flip around.
Wow.
Whereas a year ago we were seeing 90% go over list price. Now we're seeing it the other way. So the majority of properties are going under list price, and even with multiple offers. So it doesn't mean because you have multiple offers that you're necessarily going to get over list price. So if it's an accurate list price, then that may be where those buyers want to offer. So I think it's really in managing expectations and making sure that everybody's clearly aware of what the trends are and how it's working. And I think that that's really where, as an individual realtor, we need to stay up on what's going on in the market and how the market's responding to in the current flavor.
Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290. CJBK, love getting Joan's insight into the current state of affairs in the real estate market, specifically here in the London area. Joan with Royal LePage, Triland Realty. You can reach Joan at 519-672-9880, joanball.com, the website address. Would you say, Joan, that it would be more of the norm in your career from start to currently that homes, for the most part, obviously setting aside the last couple of years, but do generally go for under asking price as a whole?
Historically, for sure.
Okay.
That's certainly the historical picture. However, it really depends on the individual market. In this current market, if you've got a property that's got a great location, it presents well, it may have something that's unique to it, but highly desirable,
right,
then the expectation is that if you price it accurately, it will go above list price and maybe with multiple offers, and even in this current market. However, if you're a standard, just an average Joe house, it's, you have some updates that maybe, from a potential buyer's perspective may be needed, then, or you present very well, but, you're sort of the average house, then in this market you're seeing the majority of sales go below list price.
Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. Again, you can reach Joan at 519-672-9880, joanball.com, the website address. Just before the first break here, Joan, you talk about, location often, and I can picture in my mind, what a good location is. And I guess can we say it does differ from person to person what a good location would be somewhat?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But I think that sort of that there are areas of the city where the infrastructure may be cut above, or your price point, your square footage, some of the amenities that are in that area. There's certain areas of the city that will recognize a higher price point.
Gotcha. This is a new one that I heard just recently. A friend of mine, she said that when she was looking for a home, she was only looking, the majority of the homes she was looking at were in neighborhoods, and she would not buy a home that had a sidewalk on her side of the street. And where she ended up, there was a sidewalk on the other side. And again, this is something I had never heard. And I thought, okay, I can get that actually. she just figured that if she didn't have a sidewalk that was going through, at her boulevard, that would, help prevent people from wandering onto her yard. Have you ever heard that one before?
So that's an interesting perspective, because I've heard more individuals say the other way around, in that if I don't have a sidewalk on my side, the kids can't go and ride their bikes on the sidewalk, or, from a safety concern in that way, if I want to go for a walk, I have to go out onto the road. So I have actually had clients who insist on having a road where there are sidewalks. But it points out the fact that it's individual.
Right.
However, when you're looking at resale, you're looking at what attracts the masses, and the majority of people will prefer a sidewalk.
Good point. Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. Joan, of course, our longtime real estate expert here on Newstalk 1290. You can reach Joan at Royal LePage, Triland Realty, 519-672-9880, joanball.com, the website address. We'll return with more here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 right after these. And welcome back to Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290, CJBK with Joan Ball from Royal LePage, Triland Realty, 519-672-9880. Early in the year 2023, Joan, are you accepting new clients for people maybe looking ahead into the spring and summer months that maybe want to buy or sell?
Absolutely, and I'm really proud to be able to announce that I have been able to sell all the properties that we've been listing very favorably. The listings I've had have been going over list price, so I'm really happy that our system is working. So that really does clear the book, so to speak. I do have a couple of clients that are looking at properties, some that are lining up for listings coming in 2023, but it's the perfect time to sit down with people and plan for what they want to do. And some people may not, they may be looking a year and a half in the future, but it's always a good idea to get a better a connection with an agent, know where you want to go, know what you're going to do, and then plan for that, because in this market you may have very specific needs, and that property may take a while to come on the market, or you may really want to ensure that you get top dollar in return for your investment when selling.
Excellent. Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts. And should be noted, Joan recently elected to another 2 years on the board of directors with L-Star London, St. Thomas Association of Realtors. Looking ahead, Joan, and we will go a few months into the future. I know we are in the middle of winter right now, but warmer weather will return. And going back a couple of years ago, we talked about people kind of hunkering down in their homes. We were sort of made to do that, and a lot of people investing into their backyards or looking for a home with a nice backyard that they could relax and hang out in and maybe get wet in a pool. Are pools still as popular, do you see, into the future as they have been over the last couple of years?
Well, certainly through the pandemic, the pool companies were absolutely slogged. They were so busy because that really forced us to find entertainment locally. Right. And even for individuals who might have rented cottages, they weren't doing so. Now that we've been in a process of sort of working through this pandemic, people are certainly much more comfortable with getting away. Some of the travel concerns, I can see people starting to stay a little closer to home in some seasons just because of the hassle and the headaches that come along with some of that, but it may not be to the majority. Pools, I think, will always have a place for those who want them. If there's a need, like we had in the pandemic, then they will take sort of a more primary role. I don't know what the reaction will be now that we're back out and about, but I do know that the pool company I deal with has certainly been steady and very, very busy over the last season.
Is having a pool, Joan, for a potential buyer, a total turnoff for some individuals? They just won't go there?
Yeah, some people just don't want a pool.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they don't want a pool. They see it as a lot of work, and it is. I mean, it's a bit of work. It can be expensive depending on what form of heat you have for your pool. And, obviously, or if it even has heat, it may limit the use of the pool. So it's not for everyone. And also the style of pool, if it's concrete or if it's vinyl, if it, what's the life or how new are the mechanics related to the pool, the pump and the liner and some of those things. So it really is individual. I won't say that the majority of people want pools, but certainly through the pandemic, I found more people did. But it's not for everybody.
And what about a hot tub, throwing that into the equation, Joan?
Yeah, not everybody wants a hot tub either, especially if you have young children. There are some, and I always tell people, just make sure if you have a hot tub and you have anyone with long hair, have some scissors close at hand. That's a safety concern with the jets. Or have the hair tied up, certainly. But hot tubs are not for everyone. That level of heat is not necessarily good for all children. So some people want it, some people don't. Some people with heart conditions can't use a hot tub because of the level of heat. So, that's a luxury item that I wouldn't say it's a demand by the majority as well.
Good insight. Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts. Got a question here, Joan, from Kathy. I am concerned that this may not be a good time to list my home for sale. I will be retiring and traveling. Would your expert please address?
So there are trends that I can show people over the last, more than a decade, so they can see when the market is the most active and when the highest return on investment is present. So that's really key to understand the trends and then couple that with what the current trends are so you can see how we move through the year. And that's something that, January you'll see a lot of new listings start to come on. The agents are back at work after the holidays because they had a very busy year last year as well. But you'll see the demand or the number of listings come on the market. And I think that there is a sweet spot to list, and I think that that's really important to focus on that if you want highest and best return on your investment. And I can certainly show her how.
Excellent, Kathy. So you can get in touch with Joan by calling her at 519-672-9880. Another one here from Aaron. Aaron would like to know, Joan, how can we get information about a property if it is not in the listing and the listing agent isn't getting back to us?
Yeah, so through the pandemic, we saw a lot of properties that went on the market, and you'd have limited, perhaps, information on the listing. And it was quite difficult because at that time, we were really in positions where we had to submit offers without conditions if we wanted to be in any level of competition to be considered if there were multiple offers. So as we move into a slower market, it really behooves the seller and the agent to gather all the information. For example, a condominium corporation. When I list a condominium corporation, I ask the seller to acquire a status certificate, which is the rules, regulations, and bylaws and financials for the corporation, for the condo corporation, because it runs like a business. So therefore, that potential buyer has that information. They can take it to their lawyer. They can have their lawyer review it. They know if there's any lawsuits against the corporation or pending lawsuits or anything that's going on, and then they can feel a little bit more comfortable not having to put that condition in their offer. And that condition can take up to 15 days if you're putting it in an offer, because the reality is that the management company has legally 10 days to produce that document, and then by the time it gets to the lawyer, depending on if it's weekends or weekdays, it can take sometimes 3 to 5 days for them to review it. So that's a huge, that's a good example of how, you really need to cross all your T's and dot all your I's when you're listing a property. And because then you may potentially be able to get a better response from a potential buyer for your seller. So really important to focus on that.
Good stuff. Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on News Talk 1290. CJBK from Royal LePage. Tri-Land Realty. You can reach Joan at 519-672-9880. JoanBall.com, the website address. Here on Ask the Experts, we return with more with our real estate expert, Joan Ball, right after these. And welcome back to Ask the Experts here on News Talk 1290, CJBK with Joan Ball from Royal LePage at Tri-Land Realty. You mentioned about a condo corporation before the break, Joan. Just wondering, too, if somebody who has been a homeowner for the majority of their lives and maybe they're getting into retirement age and then they are looking to settle down a little more, maybe retire, do some traveling, like one of our questions related to earlier here in the program, what information do you have to give to a potential condo purchaser that maybe they don't know when compared to owning their home outright? What are some of the bigger things?
Yeah, great question, because a lot of people don't completely understand what a condominium is. They think it's a style of house, and it's a form of ownership. So you can have townhouse condos, apartment condos, vacant land condos, detached condos. There's a number of different styles that still can be condominium corporations. And each individual corporation may operate differently. However, they do have some commonality. They do have all the members who own within the corporation are the members. They have voting rights. There will be an executive that will be appointed or voted in that will help to oversee the operations of the condo corporation. And that is partly the membership. If they are not self-managed, meaning that the members themselves take care of all the coordination of the work that needs to be done in the condo corporation, then they would have a management company, and that management company would oversee and manage all the day-to-day details and updates and attention that's needed by those members and by the structures. And some of them you'll find, the vacant land ones, that individual owns the envelope of the detached unit. And so that they're responsible for the roofs and the doors and the upgrading and everything within that individual unit. Whereas if they're attached, then the corporation may, and I won't say always, but they may be responsible for the doors and the windows, or, the exterior doors and the windows and the roof and things like that. So it's really getting them to better understand how that works, and then also to understand how do the financials work, because every month they will pay a condo fee. And in London, the average is about $350, $400, somewhere in there. And so you look at what that goes for. How does that work? It goes into a reserve fund. How is that managed? And a number of years ago, the legislation was changed so that all corporations have to complete a reserve fund study, which shows a 30-year plan of what has to happen and how they will attend to and what they will attend to upgrade the property, the envelope, the structures, and how they will pay for that. And so that's really important for them to get the basics, and then from there to understand the social aspects and whether that'll work for them.
Very well laid out. That was a lot of information that I never knew about condos, Joan. And just to wrap that up, do you find that most people, if it is their first endeavor into purchasing a condo, there are maybe some of those details that they don't know about, they haven't been made aware of?
Oh, absolutely. The majority of people don't really understand. They have misconceptions about condo corporations and just think, I want my autonomy. And in some cases, I can find them condo corporations where they can have their autonomy and yet also have the luxury of being able to, if it's a senior, for example, and they want to travel a lot, well, a condo makes perfect sense because they can lock the door and everything's taken care of externally. Right. So then they have that freedom and that ability. And also I can show them how their condo corporation fee on a monthly basis helps them in the long run because they don't have to put money into the roof for the landscaping or the exterior maintenance.
Joan Ball here on Ask the Experts on Newstalk 1290 CJBK. If anybody just listened to Joan for the first time, they will now fully understand why you are our real estate expert. Boy, oh boy, the information you can provide to us in such a short period of time, and it always goes by so quick, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh my gosh almighty, I can't believe it. Joan Ball from Royal LePage Triland Realty. And not only is she a great real estate agent, she is also a great friend of mine, and I appreciate her taking the time to come on with us here on Ask the Experts. You can reach her at 519-672-9880, joanball.com. Joan, thank you so much for coming on today. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks.
You as well. Thanks, Ryan.
Awesome. Thank you. Joan Ball here on News Talk 1290.